Hey guys, welcome back to class. It's me, Professor B, and today we are doing solving systems of linear equations. This time we are going to do the elimination or addition method. Sometimes it's called elimination, sometimes it's called addition. You'll see why when we get into them. Okay, we've got our examples, our mild, medium, and spicy. So here we go. All right, so just to recap, if you haven't watched my video on substitution method of solving systems, what you're doing here is you have two lines. So if you were to graph them, we've got two lines and we are seeing where they intersect. Okay, that's going to be our solution. So when you are doing your elimination or addition method, what we want to do is we want to be able to add these two together, add the two equations together, and get rid of one of the variables. Hence the addition method, we're adding the two equations together, and elimination, you are eliminating a variable. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to see that you have the same but opposite coefficients. So that means that if you have a 6x here, you want a negative 6x here. Or if you've got a negative 12y here, you want a positive 12y here. So you want the same number but opposite signs. Okay, so that means that you may have to manipulate one of your equations by just multiplying it through. For instance, what we have here is I have a 6x minus 12y equals 24 and a negative x plus minus 6y equals 4. I want to make this guy and this guy become the same number but opposites. Well, this is already positive and this is negative, so all I would need to do is multiply this bottom equation through by a 6, and then I'd have the positive and negative that I want. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 6 and I'm going to multiply it through by the negative x minus 6y equals 4. Okay, and just a reminder, if you multiply one half of your equation through by a number, you have to multiply the other half of your equation through. So that's why I have the parentheses around the entire equation. Okay, so when I distribute, I'm going to get negative 6x. 6 times negative 6 is a negative 36y, and then times the 4 equals 24. Okay, so this is me multiplying that bottom equation through by a 6. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that first equation down. So I have 6x minus 12y equals 24. Okay, so here comes the addition part, why it's called the addition method. I'm going to add the two equations together and watch what happens. Since I have a negative 6x and a positive 6x, same number, opposite signs, when you add those together, they cancel out, they eliminate, and it just gives you a 0, right? Negative 6 plus 6. So we got rid of our x's. Then I'm going to have negative 36 minus 12, and that's going to give me a negative 48y equals 24 plus 24 is 48. So now I got rid of one variable. All I have to do is solve for the remaining variable. So I'm going to solve for y, which means I'm going to divide both sides by negative 48, and I get y equals negative 1. Okay, so there's my y value. And if I want my x value, we talked about this in the substitution video. If you want the x value, all you have to do is take this y and plug it in to one of your equations. It does not matter which one. So I'm going to plug into the bottom equation just because the x is mostly by itself already. So I'm going to get negative x minus 6 times the y value, which we just found to be negative 1, equals 4. Clean it up, solve for the x. So I get negative x plus 6, negative 6 times negative 1 is a positive, equals 4. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. 6 and 6 goes away, 6 and negative 6. So I have negative x equals a negative 2. I don't want negative x, I want a positive x. So I'm just going to divide everything by negative 1. And I end up with x equals a positive 2. So I get 2, negative 1. Okay, and just like before, I'm going to show you how to check this real quick. So in case you ever want to, you are able to without issue. Okay, so I'm going to plug the 2 in for the x value in both equations. I'm going to plug a negative 1 in for both y values of equations, and I'm going to see if they come out to be those answers. So I end up with 6 times my x, which is a 2, minus 12 times my y, which is a negative 1, equals 24. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. I have negative x, which is a 2, minus 6 times y, which is a negative 1, equals 4. Okay, I'm going to clean these up. So I end up with 12 plus 12, because a negative times a negative positive, and I get 24 equals 24. That's a true statement, so I'm halfway there. And then I get negative 2 plus 6, which is 4, equals 4. I'm all the way there. My solution worked for both equations, so that means it is a true solution. Okay, so again, you want to try and get rid of one of your variables, it does not matter which one, by multiplying one or both equations through by a number. All right, let's take a look at a slightly spicier one. Okay, so in this one, both of my signs are the same here and both of my signs are the same here. So no matter what, that tells me that I'm going to have to multiply by a negative number so that I can get one of these to be positive or one of these to be negative. All right, that way I can find that opposite. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this equation through by a negative 2. Okay, because if I multiply 8 by a negative 2, I'm going to get a positive 16, which makes those opposite signs. So, and again, it doesn't matter which one you get rid of, which variable you get rid of, it'll all come out in the end. So I'm going to multiply by negative 2, and I have negative 8x plus 6y equals 20. Remember, if you're going to multiply an equation through, you have to multiply the entire equation through. Okay, so distributing, I'm going to get a positive 16x minus 12y equals negative 40. So that's my first equation. Now all I'm going to do is copy this second equation so that I can add them together. So I get negative 16x plus 7y equals 30. Okay, and then the addition part, I am going to add the two equations together. And 16 minus 16 is 0, so that's the canceling part. Negative 12 plus 7 is a negative 5y equals negative 40 plus 30 is negative 10. And then I've eliminated my x's, so I have to solve for the y. Divide by a negative 5. So that means that my y equals a positive 2, because a negative divided by negative is positive. So that is my y value. Okay, so I found the y value. So to find the x, I am just going to plug the y in for one of the equations. You don't have to do it to both unless you're checking. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the top equation, let's just say. So I get negative 8x plus 6y, which in this case we know to be 2, equals 20. Clean up. So I have negative 8x plus 12 equals 20. And I'm going to solve for my x. So subtract 12 from both sides. I get negative 8x equals 12 minus, or I'm sorry, 20 minus 12 is a positive 8. Divide both sides by a negative 8. And my x equals negative 1. So there's my coordinate. Again, we can go ahead and we can check this, no issues, just to make sure that we got it correct and that it is a solution. So when I plug my x value in, I get negative 8 times my x, which is negative 1, plus my 6 times my y, which is 2, equals 20. And I have negative 16 times my x, which is negative 1, plus my 7 times y, which is 2. And that needs to equal 30. So let's clean those up. Let's see if it works. I end up with a positive 8 plus 12. 8 plus 12 is 20 equals 20. That's a true statement, so I'm halfway there. And then negative 16 times negative 1 is a positive 16 plus 14, which equals 30, which equals 30. I'm all the way there. So I know that negative 1, 2 is my solution for this. Okay? All right, we got one more example to go. Let's get spicy. So here's your spicy example. Remember, spicy just means they probably changed the way something looks, or they have added a step that you already know how to do. Okay? Don't be afraid just because it looks a little different. We're still going to do the same thing, like this one. This one, you've got an equal sign here and an equal sign here, and everything's all flipped around. Okay, so let's just rewrite it. We're going to rewrite this top equation so that it's in that format that we usually see. All right. If you look at the previous examples we've done, you see the x, the y equals a number. The x, the y equals a number. Okay. The x, the y equals a number. The x, the y equals a number. We're going to do the exact same thing here. Okay. So I'm going to take this equation right here, and I think I'm just going to subtract 6x from both sides because my number is already over here, and if I move the x and the y are together. So that means I'm going to get negative 6x minus 16y equals 22. So I subtracted 6x from this side and from this side, and I just put it in front. In fact, I'm going to come over and I'm going to move this down here. There we go. All right. So then I'm going to do the same thing to this one, make sure it works. So this time I have the y's in front and then the x. So I'm going to flip-flop these two guys. Again, I'm just changing the way it looks so that it looks like something I've already done before. So I'm going to do negative 4x, take the sign with the term, minus 11y equals 15. Well, now we look like all the other problems we've done before, so this problem is no longer spicy. All right, I have a negative 6x minus 16y, a negative 4x minus 11y. Looks like I'm going to have to multiply both equations in this one, not just one. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I am going to multiply. Go ahead and I'm going to push over here. I'm going to multiply the top equation by a negative 4, because that'll make negative 4 times a negative 6 is a positive 24. And then I'm going to multiply this one by a 6, because then I'd get negative 24. So that way I'm going to get rid of my x's. Again, if you want to multiply something by your 16 and your 11y, go for it. It'll still get you to the same answer in the end. You might get some different numbers part of the way there, but it'll get you different answers or the same answer in the end. Okay, so then I get negative 6x minus 16y equals 22. You have to multiply the whole thing. And like I said before, I'm going to multiply this bottom equation by just a 6, because then I'll get my 24. Negative 4x minus 11y equals 15. Okay, so I will get, when I multiply all of that through, I am going to end up with a 24x plus a, sorry, lost my place, plus a 64, positive 64y equals negative 88. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom one. That's going to give me negative 24x minus 66y equals 90. Okay, so this is an easy way to tell if you're not sure what to multiply by. This is an easy way to do it. You just multiply by the opposite number. See, I multiplied the 6 by a 4. I multiplied the 4 by a 6. I just flip-flopped them. I could have just as easily done this problem if I had multiplied this guy through by a 2, because then I would have gotten 12, and this guy by a negative 3. Would have gotten that uh, 12 as well, and the opposite sign. Okay, so you don't have to do it this way. There are smaller numbers that you can use sometimes, but if you're stuck on what numbers to use and you just don't know what to do, you can always just swap the coefficients. So again, I multiplied the 6 by a 4 because the 4 was down here, and I multiplied this 4 by a 6 because of the 6 up here. And then I just changed one of their signs to make sure that the sign worked. All right. You might end up with some slightly larger numbers, but that's okay. We got calculators. We're good to go. All right. We're going to add our two equations together. 24 minus 24x, that's the part that eliminates. I get a 64 minus 66, 64 plus a negative 66. That gives me negative 2y equals negative 88 plus 90 is a positive 2. Solve for the remaining variable, divide by negative 2, and my y equals negative 1. So I still ended up with a relatively small number, okay? So my y value is negative 1. Do the same thing that we've been doing when we solve these systems of equations. Once you have found one of the values, you want to plug it into one of your equations and solve for the remaining one. It does not matter which equation you do. So I think I'm going to go with the bottom one this time. I have negative 11y. I have my y value. It's negative 1 minus 4x equals 15. Clean up and solve for my remaining variable. That's the x. So I end up with 11 minus 4x equals 15. Subtract 11 from both sides. I get negative 4x equals positive 4. Divide both sides by that negative 4, and my x also equals negative 1. As always, you are more than welcome to check your answers, make sure it works, okay? But if you are looking for elimination, these are your examples for those. Okay, if you want more examples or you want a specific example, leave a comment, let me know, and I'll work on that video for you. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in class next time. Bye.